Estamos en el segundo día de la 12ª edición del Global Pensions Program. Ahora nos acompaña Nicholas Barr de the London School of Economical and Political Science. How's the GPP going?
It's been going very well. I mean, it's always a very rich and diversified program, and with speakers from so many different countries and so many different aspects of pensions. I mean, pensions are very complicated. You need to bring a lot of moving parts together, and the Global Pension Program does that, brings in academics like me and practitioners. So it's a very rich and rewarding occasion.
And what are your expectations for this last day?
Well, I mean, it's been a continuation of yesterday. I mean, it's digging more deeply into topics that were introduced yesterday. There was a keynote talk by a Nobel Prize winner, Peter Diamond of MIT. And so yesterday was sort of quite broad, and today's been sort of digging more deeply into some of the specific topics.
Your concept of a system approach condemns tunnel vision when evaluating pensions. When analyzing recent reforms in Latin America, what are the consequences of taking this isolated approach?
Pensions have got a range of different objectives. Poverty relief is one. The second one is what economists call consumption smoothing. In other words, allowing a person to redistribute from their middle years to themselves when they've retired. And typically you need different parts of the pension system doing those different bits. So tunnel vision arises when people get obsessed about individual accounts which do consumption smoothing because higher earners save more and hence have larger pensions, but forget about poverty relief. And this was a mistake that the World Bank made in its pension work in the 1990s, and subsequent bank work and work by people like me and other colleagues have argued that you need to think of poverty relief and consumption smoothing together. So for example, Chile, having had a system of individual accounts but not adequate poverty relief, in 2008 introduced the pension solidario, a non-contributory basic pension. So that then moved away from the tunnel vision into a balanced system that had a consumption smoothing bit and a poverty relief bit. So the mistake is to overemphasize one part and forget about the other one.
And you cite New Zealand as an example of a simple model by choice. What lessons can Latin America policymakers draw from simpler architectures when designing their own reforms?
I've done a lot of writing on pensions with Peter Diamond at MIT, and one of the main conclusions of our first book was that there are sound principles of pension design, but no single best pension system for all countries. So pension systems differ widely across countries. There are many good systems that are very different. Canada, Sweden, the Netherlands, New Zealand, all have very good pension systems. New Zealand's is a very simple one. The Swedish one is more complicated. The only point that I made in my talk was the fact that a country has the capacity to put in place a complex pension system doesn't mean it has to be complex. It can be quite a simple one, New Zealand, as I said, being an example.
Finally, what do you consider to be the greatest area of opportunity for pension systems in Latin America today?
Latin America has at least two advantages. One, your multiple countries have had different experiments with pensions, and a lot is being learned from those. The second one has got nothing to do with pensions. You've still got a fairly high fertility rate. So population aging, which will occur in Latin America, is going to occur a lot later than in other countries. So Latin America has an opportunity to put in place good pension designs now that will stand it in good stead when population aging starts to become as significant as it is in many other parts of the world.
Thank you for sharing with us your knowledge and your experience and opinions about it.
My pleasure.